Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. My name, of course, is Scott Ford, the Libertarian Professor, your home for conservative and libertarian talk. Welcome, one and all. It's Tuesday, December 27th, 2016. Glad you could join me this evening. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring you some major truth bombs today. Today on the show, Obama's final insult to Israel, and Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner apparently wants to price retirees, seniors, and new home buyers out of their homes. All that today on the show. So once again, thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate it as always. I want to get to our first story, though. Well, before we do that, I don't know if you guys heard the news. Again, I'm reporting this on Tuesday, December 27th. And 2016 has just been an absolute destroyer of people. Today, the news broke that Carrie Fisher, of course, Princess Leia, passed away. We knew a couple of days ago she had a heart attack. Apparently, she never woke from the heart attack, from what the news is reporting. And so Carrie Fisher passed away, age 60. Also passing away, Richard Adams, 96 years old, author of Watership Down. And so, we got about 4 more days left of 2016. It'd be nice if we could have no more deaths, 2016. If you could just kind of prevent killing any more beloved celebrities, that would be really super duper cool. If we could actually have that happen. But the first one I want to get to, I'm going to play this for you because this news page is absolutely killing my CPU, my computer here. There's so many bloody pop-ups and advertisements that it's just dragging. But I want to play for you the audio of basically what started this whole thing. This is, of course, the U.S. abstaining from the UN vote to end Israel's settlement buildings. And I'm going to play for you the audio right now, assuming this works. Let's go here. I think I got to tell you, the websites, news sites are just getting so full of advertisements, so full of pop-ups, so full of just junk that they kill the computers. I'm trying to run this right now. And I'm at the Jerusalem Post here, and there we go. We had a hiccup there. we're gonna try to get this to run here, but I want to play for you the actual audio of what happened, what the reasoning was, and this is a 1 minute and 36-second video, and of course it's probably going to take me 2 minutes just to get it going. But we're going to try to get that going for you here. Let's see here. Can we get this to play? Can you play? The Environmental Protection Minister, Zev Elkins, claimed to the Jerusalem Post on Monday that U.S. Vice President Joe Biden intervened ahead of Friday's vote on UN Resolution 2334 in order to persuade Ukraine to vote in favor of the resolution. Now, the United States itself abstained from the vote, which is huge, which is absolutely huge. And that alone was bad enough. Okay, the U.S. has enough power in the UN to basically kill any resolution it doesn't want. And that's by design, okay? When the U.S. and some other countries were putting together the UN, the founding countries, post-World War, made sure that they had certain safeguards built into the UN. One of the safeguards was, of course, being able to kill a lot of these different resolutions. So the United States abstaining, first of all, from this vote was big enough. Well, that was huge. That was a big slap in the face of Israel. But then added to that the fact that there might have been some colluding behind the scenes. There might have been some shenanigans, some Machiavellian work behind the scenes in order to make sure that the resolution passed. Makes it even worse. I mean, it's one thing when you just keep your mouth shut. All right, that's bad enough. But when you actually participate in the stabbing of the back of Israel, that's a whole separate case. And of course, now the page is not loading because, I need the video to work. So I'm going to read to you again. This is from the Jerusalem Post. The Environmental Protection Minister Zev Elkin claimed to the Jerusalem Post on Monday that U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, not just a meme, ladies and gentlemen, intervened ahead of Friday's vote on the UN Resolution 2334 in order to persuade Ukraine to vote in favor of the resolution. In response, the Vice President office intensely denied Elkin's comments as utterly false, which, of course, they would. I mean, they can't come forward and say, yes, not only did we ignore Israel, but we purposely orchestrated the passing of the resolution. The resolution is the first in Security Council history. And this is why this is so big. This is the first in the Security Council history, specifically condemning Israel for its settlement activities in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Ambassador to, and of course now we're going to have some more problems here, Ambassador to the U.S. Ron Dermer was asked repeatedly on CNN and MSNBC Monday what evidence Israel has Obama administration pushed for the resolution passage. Dermer responded that he would provide an answer only to the next administration of President-elect Donald Trump. We got the audio coming up in a little bit on that one. Elkin said openly that Biden spoke to the Ukrainians and that they would have abstained had he not intervened. So it sounds like this resolution would have died, first of all, if the United States voted no, which is what they should have done, or two, if the United States wasn't going to vote no, but simply kept their nose out of it. It also sounds like probably would not have passed. But the allegations here are quite simple. The allegations here are that the United States not only abstained, but that they participated behind the scenes in order to basically pull the rug out from underneath Israel's feet. Now, we're not talking about some simple resolution here. What this is, this is huge, all right? Because what they've done is they've set up Israel to be tried in international court. The resolution specifically condemned Israel for its settlement activities in the West Bank of East Jerusalem. So what this does, again, is it sets Israel up for a international court, okay? But it also sets up all these settlers in the West Bank as potential criminals. Now, for those of you who don't understand the importance of this, for those of you who don't grasp the importance of this, Israel is under constant attack. They are under constant attack, and the buffer that is afforded around their main centers is how they can actually survive day to day. All right, I think we got the audio working here. This is the U.S. ambassador
continues
in
to
the
be
UN.
Biased against Israel because there are important issues that are not sufficiently addressed in this resolution, and because the United States does not agree with every word in this text, that the United States did not vote in favor of the resolution. But it is because this resolution reflects the facts on the ground and is consistent with U.S. policy across Republican and Democratic administrations throughout the history of the State of Israel that the United States did not veto it.
All right, I want to pause right now because, as I just said, this was historic. This was the first resolution that was passed against Israel that was allowed to pass. And this was allowed to pass under this current administration. So this is not in keeping with traditional U.S.-Israel relations.
President Obama and this administration have shown an unprecedented commitment to Israel's security.
Yeah, no.
Because that is what we believe in. Our commitment to that security has never wavered, and it never will. We would,
except for completely selling them down the river. Folks, this is Orwellian doublespeak here. This is talking points that the Obama administration can throw out to the drones, that they can say, no, Obama is a strong supporter of Israel. And the Obama zombies will buy this hook, line, and sinker. They will believe this fabrication, believe this lie, without looking at, of course, empirical evidence. Again, I want to point out that this is the first time a resolution has passed against Israel in the UN.
Not have let this resolution pass had it not also addressed counterproductive actions by the Palestinians, such as terrorism and incitement to violence, which we've repeatedly condemned and repeatedly raised with the Palestinian leadership, and which, of course, must be stopped.
All right, now
some may cast the U.S. vote as a sign that we have finally given up.
I want to pause. I'm pausing you because it's interesting that this ambassador is taking the high ground, right? They're saying, well, the United States has always been against. We have another article for you later on in the show where the United States apparently can't claim the high ground when it comes to terrorism and condemning terrorism.
Solution. Nothing could be further from the truth. None of us can give up on a two-state solution. We continue to believe that that solution is the only viable path to provide peace and security for the State of Israel and freedom and dignity for the Palestinian people. One cannot simultaneously champion expanding Israeli settlements and champion a viable two-state solution that would end the conflict. One has to make a choice between settlements and separation.
And so that was the entire explanation, ladies and gentlemen, behind why they did this. Now, on the surface, people can go, yeah, you know, you need to get along. You need to get along. You know, why can't you get along? Folks, at the end of the day, Israel is being attacked pretty much all around them. And with the Arab Spring, it has gotten worse. Countries that had tolerated Israel, it's countries that were secular, for example, Egypt, have since fallen to different regimes. When we get back, we have Benjamin Netanyahu's speech about one such country that has vowed to destroy Israel and vowed to kill every single Jew in Israel. And of course, where is the UN Security Council when that happens? Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after these messages.
Did you miss an episode of The Libertarian Professor, or just want to go back and listen to one of your favorites? Then visit thelibertarianprofessor.online. You can find links to our shows on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Once again, that is thelibertarianprofessor.online.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call Beatty AC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. Beatty AC and Heat. That's B-E-E-D-E ACandHeat.com. BeattyACandHeat.com.
'Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor radio show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Join the revolution. Introducing Texas National Outfitters, specializing in custom handmade cowboy boots and leather goods. T&O produces and sells the highest quality in Western wear, custom suits, hats, handmade jewelry, unique Texas gift items, and much, much more. Texas National Outfitters supports over 50 local Texas artisans that make the bulk of their products. They use these amazing and blessed artisans to create lifetime treasures that are available to you for purchase. These exquisite products will tastefully help you express your Texas pride. TNO, Texas National Outfitters, is not a big box store. It feels like Texas in there. They operate on Christian principles. They feed on supporting Texas culture. Caution, you could be their customer forever. Houston location, 8933 Katy Freeway next to Goods Barbecue. Austin location, 1115 South Congress, down the street from the Pink Dome. T-N-O.com or click the ad on RagingElephantsRadio.com.
Hey, welcome back to the show, folks. I want to thank you for joining me. Whether you're watching me live or you're watching the video afterwards, I always enjoy the comments. The last video got a whole bunch of comments. I really appreciate it. Dissenting opinions are always great. The only thing I ever ask for is logical arguments, logical, good faith debates. And so far, we've been getting those. I'm also excited to say that I was looking at some of the traffic on the last video, and apparently I was getting some traffic from Breitbart.com, which was really cool, as well as the Daily Cost, which is left-leaning, to say the least, news, and I'm using air quotations here, site. So I'm sure somebody got annoyed at me over there. But again, thanks for listening to me. Whether you're listening to me live Tuesday and Thursday nights from 7 to 9, or you're listening on the rebroadcast, and of course you can catch the rebroadcast at wonderful Libertarian Professor radio station affiliates, the RagingElephantsRadio.com. That's RagingElephantsRadio.com, where it all began. You can also catch me at BlackMarketLiberty.com, and the new one to the family, LibertyRadioTexas.com. And I'd like to thank all of them for being part of the family, the expanding family. So, the question about Israel and why this is such a big deal, and believe me, there's not enough time in a 2-hour show to really get into what's going on in Israel. I mean, this is a huge topic. All you can do is pick on specific topics and go from there, really, with what's going on. And the big thing that just happened recently, the big news story that happened since the last show, was the UN had a resolution. And the resolution was basically condemning the settlement, of the West Banks. And normally, under a president that supported Israel, or a president that supports one of our few allies in the Middle East, they would have supported Israel and deep sixed the resolution. It's as simple as that. They would have killed the resolution with the power they had. But under our current administration, under the current, Obama administration, they not only abstained from voting one way or the other, but apparently, the United States under Obama, the United States Obama administration, went and actually undermined and rallied the troops to go against Israel. Now, again, I want to point out something. Israel is simply our biggest ally. Let's not even talk about whether you like Israel or not. Okay, let's not even say if you like Israel, you respect Israel. You might hate Jews. I don't care. But the fact at the end of the day is this. Israel is simply our best ally in the Middle East. It is the one country in the Middle East that would not destroy the United States, that has no plans on bombing the United States if given a chance. Israel is, again, one of our closest allies. Israel is also responsible for massive computer developments. In fact, some of the latest computer chips were developed in Israel that you use in your computer right now. American labs were kind of at a standstill when it came to dual and quad processing. We were at a standstill in the progress of computers, and it was the Israeli labs that came with a breakthrough that you enjoy your computers today. They have medical breakthroughs. They have technology breakthroughs. Israel is not a country that we need to be selling down the river. And that's exactly what the accusations are right now against the Obama administration. Now, imagine for a second that you happen to live in Israel. And you're surrounded on all borders, for the most part, with countries that want to kill you. You're surrounded by countries that aid and abet terrorists that launch rockets into your cities and hit civilian centers that kill civilians. And then imagine for a second that if you as a country try to retaliate, well, you can't do that. No, you're condemned if you retaliate. Keep in mind, folks, that we have been at war. The United States has been at war for over 20 years. There are people graduating college today that were born into a country that has constantly been at war. We have been bombing countries. We have had troops in countries. We have been at constant war for over 20 years. So the fact that America is demanding that Israel not retaliate, not defend itself, is laughable and hypocritical. So now imagine for a second again that you were Israel and a country known as Iran, who is a known evil country. Okay, Iran is an evil country. It is arming terrorists. It is arming troops that are going in and killing our men and women in combat. They have been a source of terrorists since the 70s. Iran is not a good country. Okay, and Iran has vowed to destroy Israel. Has vowed to destroy them. Now, here's an audio. This is actually a world leader speaking. This is Benjamin Netanyahu, who is truly a world leader, talking at the United Nations. This was in New York, and this was posted a couple of years ago, regarding the silence of the Security Council when Iran basically said they were going to exterminate Israel and those living there.
Last month, Khamenei once again made his genocidal intentions clear before Iran's top clerical body, the Assembly of Experts. He spoke about Israel, home to over 6 million Jews. He pledged, quote, "There will be no Israel in 25 years," end quote. 70 years after the murder of 6 million Jews, Iran's rulers promised to destroy my country, murder my people. And the response from this body, the response from nearly every one of the governments represented here, has been absolutely nothing. Utter silence. Deafening silence.
At this point, and I got to have some words in here, otherwise the stations that carry us drop us automatically. He is basically staring down every single person in the UN. He is staring down every single one of them. He is pointing out simply the fact that there is this silence. There is nobody who is fighting for Israel in the UN. Israel truly is, for the most part, on its own out there. And there is absolutely no reason for this.
Perhaps you can understand why Israel is not joining you in celebrating this deal. If Iran's rulers were working to destroy your countries, perhaps you'd be less enthusiastic about the deal. If Iran's terror proxies were firing thousands of rockets at your cities, perhaps you'd be more measured in your praise. And if this deal were unleashing a nuclear arms race in your neighborhood, perhaps you'd be more reluctant to celebrate.
And so, again, Iran has come out and said that they are going to wipe them out. I mean, in no uncertain terms. There's no misreading Iran's intention in this. They want to destroy Israel. And interestingly enough, this whole Iran nuclear deal, this horrible deal, which will ensure that Iran has nuclear weapon capabilities, was done under whose administration? Was done under whose administration? It was done under Obama's administration. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the problem. Years from now, maybe 4, 5 years from now, we are going to see the consequences, the absolute disastrous consequences of Obama's foreign policies, the policies of capitulating, the policies of just bowing to evil nations. We're going to see the results of this. We already saw the results, by the way, years after the Clintons left office. When Bill Clinton was in office, North Korea was the big threat. North Korea could have been shut down under Bill Clinton's watch, but instead, he wavered in his resolve. He wanted to get along. He did not take a firm stance, which led to the North Korea we have now. I am infinitely more fearful of Iran than I am of North Korea. North Korea is kind of that big stupid kid who sits in the corner eating paste. Iran is an evil country with evil intentions. Now, for those of you out there going, well, not everybody's evil over there. No, not everybody's evil over there. But the people who control the military, the people with their fingers on the button, the people who control the bombs, they are evil. And so while the local shopkeeper might just want to live a peaceful life, and while people there just might want to just be left alone, the country is run by evil genocidal maniacs who want to destroy the Jews and everybody who supports the Jews. And guess what? That also includes the United States of America. We're going to hit a commercial break, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these short messages. You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more? The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
This station and hundreds of other radio stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed. And because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Liberty Radio Texas, broadcasting from Liberty County, Texas. Tune in for the best political talk show, music variety shows, and all the country and rock we can cram in between. Here's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.libertyradiotexas.com or download the app onto your smartphone.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, your Libertarian Professor. Do you have a charitable event or other? Your event will be part of our community calendar heard on the Libertarian Professor's radio show. So once again, if you have that nonprofit event or charitable event, go to thelibertarianprofessor.online and click on that link. Submit a public service announcement.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product. This is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing. No one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors. From fruity to cookies, or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and a choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. You know, we're still doing this whole new YouTube live stream. We're still working out the bugs here. And, you know, it's actually been relatively trouble-free. Definitely room for improvement, but you know what? The live stream feature on YouTube is now beta. It's in beta right now. Or at least I should say the newer version of it is in beta. So, you know, we're just trying to get stuff working better. Just trying to get a better experience out there to you. You know, that's the fun part. You know, you try new technology. And, of course, whenever you're trying new technology, there's always challenges with that technology. So continuing on regarding Obama's administration and the knife in the back, as it were, to Israel. This is from CNS News. Israel doubles down on criticism of Obama administration. Ben Rhodes is an expert, quote, an expert at fiction. This was published December 26th. This was yesterday. CNSnews.com. Israel's ambassador to the U.S. on Monday dismissed White House Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes' denial that the Obama administration played a key behind-the-scenes role in getting a resolution condemning Israel through the UN Security Council, describing him as a, quote, expert at fiction. Now, I want to reiterate how big this is. This is huge. It's one thing for the Obama administration to remain silent on the resolution. It's one thing for the Obama administration to say, you know what, we're not going to get involved in this one. It's the wrong thing, but it is one thing. It is still different, infinitely different than what Israel is now accusing the Obama administration of doing. The Obama administration has been accused by Israel of not only being complacent with this resolution, but also helping the resolution pass, to be a key figure in pushing through the resolution. And again, this is huge. This is a massive break in Israeli-U.S. relations. And again, it doesn't matter if you like Israel or not. At the end of the day, when it comes down to allies, Israel is simply our strongest ally in the Middle East. It's as simple as that. It also behooves America to make sure Israel and America put forward a very strong front. Because if Israel is attacked, if Israel is truly brought into war, we are looking at easily World War III. Easily World War III. Now, there's been no official documentation. There's been no official announcements on Israel's weapons of mass destruction capabilities. But if you go look at like the American Federation of Scientists and other think tanks, pretty much everybody agrees that Israel has nuclear weapons, even though Israel has never admitted to having nuclear weapons. But it's pretty much assumed that Israel has the capabilities of leveling anyone around them. We don't want Israel to get to that point. And the way we don't let Israel get to that point is we make sure that the United States and Israel, there's no light in between us. And what the Obama administration has basically done in this situation has turned their back on a global stage towards Israel. Now, Israel is not going to abide by the UN resolution. They have already come out and they're not abiding by it. They're going to continue those settlements. And again, it's in Israel's national security interest to do so. They can't bring in their borders, because if they bring in their borders, that brings the people launching missiles at Israel closer and closer to the heart of Israel. They need buffer space. Now, what's also interesting, if for those of you who are, the Palestinians, look, the Palestinians are not welcome in any other of the Muslim countries. It's interesting because, the Muslim countries want Palestine to have their own nation, right? They want them to have their own place. But yet, all the surrounding Muslim countries do not welcome Palestinians. Why is that? It's an interesting question that's not really brought up. Back to the CNS article. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu government says it has ironclad information indicating that the Obama administration had a role in the crafting and passage of the resolution that passed Friday in the absence of a U.S. veto. Now, I got news for you. Israeli intelligence, if you've ever watched NCIS, okay? If you've ever watched NCIS, you get a good idea, just from a fictional point of view, that Israeli intelligence is not exactly bumbling around, okay? So I have a feeling that if the Mossad and Israeli intelligence has ironclad evidence that the United States sold, not only abstained, but purposely sold Israel down the river, that they have that information, that they have that data and those facts. I don't doubt it. In fact, at this point, I trust Israel more than I trust our current U.S. government when it comes to who's leading it, at least. It's kind of sad when we have to look towards other country leaders to be more truthful than our current country leader. And by the way, for those of you who are like, I just hate Obama. No. I have another article that I'm going to present to you, maybe within this hour, maybe in the second hour, where yet another person, another country, another president of another country is also leveling accusations at the Obama administration for something entirely different. So for those of you who are going, oh, you're just conservative and you hate Obama. You just hate him. Nothing he can look. These are Israel's accusations. I got another country on tap who's also going to make accusations against this current administration. And I have a feeling this is the beginning of an entire string of other countries coming forth and saying, look, here are the dirty dealings from this administration. I got a feeling we're getting to the beginning of what's going to be a long stream of people coming forth to bury this current administration, which hopefully will be the past administration very, very soon. And it has nothing to do with hating Obama or hating this administration. It has everything to do with national security. It has everything to do with, did this administration make life better or worse for the people of this world? Actually, so continue on. Asked about Rhodes' denial of an administrative role, Dermer replied, Ben Rhodes is an expert at fiction. I've got you the audio clip here. Let's see if it loads. Again, this is from CNS News. And this is Ambassador Ron Dermer. And he was on MSNBC, which... Yeah. It's because, by the way, you're going to get a lot of bumping because the bloody commercials are killing the stream. Here we go. Let's go with this video. Oh, I love it when the websites are when the news sites are killing the entire experience for you guys out there. Again, this is one of those learning curve things. We'll probably have to get a separate computer just to run the news sites and another computer to run the feed. So apologize to those of you out there who are getting it really choppy right now. Once this starts to load, we should be good to go. Here we go.
You said earlier that you believe there's clear evidence that the United States is behind the UN Security Council resolution, in some way orchestrated this resolution. Can you talk about what proof you have?
Well, we have proof. I don't believe it. We know it, and we'll share it with the incoming administration through the appropriate channels. And they can decide whether they want to share that with the American people. We're obviously not going to share it with this administration because this administration is behind it.
Well, Ambassador, let me ask you this, though. You're essentially accusing the current administration of handcuffing the next administration, if you will. Ben Rhodes has come out and said it is not true that the United States had anything to do with this resolution. Secretary of State John Kerry said that. Do you not trust the U.S. government when they deny having anything to do with this?
Well, Ben Rhodes is an expert in fiction. Let's just wait till all the evidence is presented to the new administration, and they will decide. And then you can invite me back on your show, and you can see whether I'm...
So that's huge. Guys, again, I want to point out how huge this is. This is not some crackpot. This is not some lunatic. This is an entire country. This is the administration of an entire country saying they have evidence. They have evidence that Israel. This is huge. This is unheard of in this country, ladies and gentlemen. Because I sincerely doubt Israel has made, and they're not prepared to lay out evidence that even the most staunch supporter of Obama could refute. Of course, they can always cover their eyes, put their fingers in their ears, and say la 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 la. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back after these messages. Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor radio show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to the Libertarian Professor information.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but it's been performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption. What's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a 591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. BD AC and Heat. That's BEEDE AC and Heat.com. BDACandHeat.com.
You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more The Libertarian Professor radio show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
Stop. More than a company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECD is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool vaporizers, Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris, will teach you every feature of the dozen. From fruity to cookies, or even tobacco, each made from all natural and the choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
Listen up, Texans. RER Nation has got to grow. We've got to have those RER app downloads. Android devices. Here's how to share the RER app. Get to your application manager through see the share icon, hit it. Choose text or messenger. Pick a couple of Texas Patriots. Give a testimony in 160 characters. Send. iOS device folks, do the equivalent through the App Store. Let's get it viral. RER app.
Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am aware that we're having some streaming issues. We're going to try to get that fixed as quickly as we can. Maybe try to get that fixed for Thursday. Again, we're working out the bugs in this whole thing. One of the bugs I think we got to work out right now is simply, apparently, I think the computer is just handling too much at the same time, which is bizarre because this is not an old computer, and I kind of maxed out some of the RAM here. So I'm not sure as to why we're getting the huge delays that we're getting. I'd be interested to know why that's happening. We'll have to maybe do some research on that one behind the scenes. So we have Israel, right? For those of you just joining us, what we're talking about right now is the Obama administration basically selling out Israel, doing something that has never happened in the history of U.S.-Israeli relations ever, which is a resolution passed in the UN condemning Israel's settlement of the West Bank. Now, this is, again, historic because this has never happened. At first, the beginning of the story was that the U.S. abstained from the vote. The U.S. could have deep sixed the entire thing. They could have vetoed it, okay? But they didn't. That was bad enough. That was bad enough. That was enough to cause a lot of waves. But then the story started to evolve. The information started to come out, and more information started to come forth. And then we find out the Israel government has accused Obama's administration not only abstaining from this vote, but also from doing the machinations, doing the behind the scenes in order to make sure the vote passed, make sure that the resolution passed. And again, this is unheard of. This has never happened in the history of U.S.-Israeli relations. Now, Obama, in his 8 years of pain, has managed to, let's say, put to strain many of our long-standing friendships with other countries. I don't know if you remember when he first took office, he basically snubbed the UK. And he's been going after Israel for the last 8 years now. Of course, his people have been doing doublespeak and saying, no, Obama's a strong supporter of Israel, blah, 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 blah. Well, I think at this point in time, on his way out, hallelujah, it's pretty clear where Obama's priorities lie. And they're not with Israel. They're not with keeping Israel safe. And don't forget, Israel is Middle East. It is simply our best ally in the Middle East. It is probably one of the only countries, if not the only country now, following the wonderful Arab Spring brought to you by radicals in our own administration, to allow Jews, Christians, and Muslims to live side by side. You know, there was a time when Egypt, it was a secular country. And in Egypt, Christians, Jews, and Muslims could live in Egypt. And then they had the Arab Spring, and the Obama administration sold their president down the river. It was taken over by the Muslim Brotherhood. Christians were being slaughtered in Egypt. That didn't make the mainstream news. It was a bad narrative. You know, couldn't go against what was being reported. Jews were fleeing Egypt. They already knew what was coming. They were like, we've been around long enough. We've seen the writing on the wall. We're getting out. But I have a friend back in Virginia who was a Christian who fled Egypt once the Obama administration sold out the current president. So Israel really is the only country out in the Middle East right now where atheists, Christians, Jews, and Muslims can live without worrying that the government's going to come and kill you, or representatives of the country are going to kill you simply because of the religion you are. So, Yahoo News, Israel says reducing ties with nations over UN votes. And I'm happy to see this. By the way, another article, this is from Hot Air. Lindsey Graham, who, and Ted Cruz defund the UN unless it repeals its anti-Israeli vote. Ted Cruz has come out very strongly, by the way, to say that we should defund any country that has voted in favor of selling out Israel. Ted Cruz has come out very strongly and said we should defund the UN, which, sounds like a great idea. Well, here's a news story for you. Senator Graham defund UN after Israel vote.
The Prime Minister of Israel said that they would reevaluate relations with the United Nations, effectively saying that they would withhold money for 5 of its organizations. I'm guessing that you think that that is a good idea?
Yeah, I talked to BB yesterday. This is a real affront to the state of Israel. It's been decades-old policy for the United States, by the United States, to make sure the parties negotiate on the ground in the Mideast, not in the UN Security Council. And he told me that when it comes to the UN, the gloves are off, and I told him that's my view too. So I will respond in kind. 22% of the United Nations budget comes from the American taxpayer, and I'm going to lead the charge to withhold funding until they repeal this resolution.
22% of the funding for the UN comes from our money. Comes from our money. Now, Lindsey Graham, I can't stand Lindsey Graham. All right, Lindsey Graham has no backbone. He has no spine. He's not a conservative. Okay, Lindsey Graham has sided more with liberals and Democrats than he has with Republicans and conservatives. So, the fact that Lindsey Graham is actually standing up at this point in time tells you how bad this has to be. Again, Lindsey Graham, not a conservative. Okay, he sides with liberals and Democrats all the time. So for Lindsey Graham to come forward and say, we're going to lead the charge to defund the UN, I'm surprised. I had to make sure it was the same Lindsey Graham I thought I was talking about. But it is. So good for Lindsey Graham actually taking a stand on something that's right. I guess it has to happen at least once in his political career. Ted Cruz, of course, being a strong proponent of conservative values, has also condemned the actions, has come forth and condemned the actions, is also leading the march to not only defund the UN, but to withhold aid to any country that has voted in favor of condemning Israel. Good for Ted Cruz. President-elect Trump apparently was also trying to do things on his end to make sure the resolution didn't pass. Of course, unfortunately, Donald Trump has not been sworn in. And so he, all he could do was ask. But I have a good feeling that the payback, the payback to the UN and the payback to these countries that have condemned Israel, I think's coming. I think it's coming, and it's coming soon. Because this is definitely something that needs to be addressed. And Donald Trump has come forward again. He said he supports Israel. He has decried this action. Conservatives in D.C. as well as Republicans who pretend they're conservatives has also condemned this action. So maybe the UN's going to get a wake up call. Maybe the UN is going to get their funding slashed. And find your money somewhere else. 22% of your funding comes from America. Well, have fun with that one. But it gets even better. Yahoo News. Israel says reducing ties with nations over the UN vote. Jerusalem. Israel foreign minister said Tuesday the country was reducing ties with nations that voted for last week's UN Security Council resolution demanding a halt to settlement buildings in Palestine territories. Now, this makes sense to me. If you are helping countries and they turn around and try to stab you in the back, well, not try to, they did. They tried to destroy you. They tried to undermine your security. Of course, you're going to have a little payback. Of course, you're going to rethink your relationships. Refuting reports that have been suspended, Foreign Minister spokesman Emmanuel Nachan said that Israel was, quote, temporarily reducing visits and work with embassies. Until further notice, we limit our contacts with the embassies here in Israel and refrain from visits of Israeli officials to those states and of visits of officials from those states here, he told AFP. Israel has already called back its ambassadors to New Zealand and Singali for consultations and canceled aid programs with the African state. Good for Israel. You know what? If you're going to try to sell us upriver, you know what? Have fun. We're not going to give you money. Go get your money somewhere else. We're giving you money. We're helping your country. We're helping your people. And you're going to bite the hand that feeds you? Fine. We're going to hold our aid. Yeah, I wish the United States would do that. I wish this country would do that. Like, look, if your country is preaching hate to the United States, then you don't get our money. We're not giving you money if you want to destroy our country. We're not going to give you money or aid if you are actively trying to sabotage the well-being of U.S. citizens. So bravo for Israel. You know, cut those ties. Don't give money. Let's see who steps up. And when these countries all of a sudden have to explain to their population, their populace, their citizens, why they can't get stuff, why they don't have the aid, why they're not getting the medicines or the food or the support, why is that? Well, because your leaders decided they wanted to stick a knife in Israel's back. On Tuesday, Israel informed Angola it would be freezing its aid program there. Israel media has reported that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who serves as foreign minister, has asked officials to visit the countries that voted for the resolution as little as possible for now. At least 2 trips have been canceled or postponed, including this week's visit to Israel by Ukraine Prime Minister and an upcoming visit by the Senegalese foreign minister. There's also been reports of Netanyahu was calling off a meeting with British Prime Minister at next month's World Economic Forum, but there has been no official confirmation. Countries should not be able to, quote, make pilgrimages to Israel to learn about fighting terror, cyber defense, and agricultural technologies, and the UN do whatever you want, she told Army Radio. Good. Again, if you have other nations that are trying to destroy you, don't help them. Don't help them. Don't allow scientists and researchers from other countries that are trying to destroy your country to come in and get research and new farming techniques, new medicine techniques. Now, I know that sounds harsh. I know that sounds inhumane. But at the end of the day, Israel, just like every other country, has a right to survive. And when other countries are actively trying to destroy that right, when other countries are actively trying to put your citizens and your country in harm, you have the right to protect yourselves. You have the right to protect your citizens. You have the right to protect your country. And you have the right to put the screws to those countries and those leaders that have decided to sell you down the river. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, the accusations continue. This time, we're leaving Israel and going to Turkey. Oh, yeah, we have a whole separate set of accusations coming from another president of another country related to something entirely different. For those of you who have been screaming at me because you're Obama supporters, hang around just a little bit longer. We'll be right back after these messages.
Did you miss an episode of The Libertarian Professor, or just want to go back and listen to one of your favorites? Then visit thelibertarianprofessor.online. You can find links to our shows on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, and iTunes. Once again, that is thelibertarianprofessor.online.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call BDAC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. BD AC and Heat. That's BEEDE AC and Heat.com. BDAC and Heat.com.
'Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor radio show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Join the revolution. Introducing Texas National Outfitters, specializing in custom handmade cowboy boots and leather goods. TNO produces and sells the highest quality in Western wear, custom suits, hats, handmade jewelry, unique Texas gift items, and much, much more. Texas National Outfitters supports over 50 local Texas artisans that make the bulk of their products. They use these amazing and blessed artisans to create lifetime treasures that are available to you for purchase. These exquisite products will tastefully help you express your Texas pride. TNO, Texas National Outfitters, is not a big box. It's 933 Katy Freeway next to Goods Barbecue. Austin location, 1115 South Congress, down the street from the Pink Dome. T-N-O.com or click the ad on RagingElePhantsRadio.com.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, the Libertarian Professor. When I want to listen to music that doesn't suck, I tune to blackmarketliberty.com. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We're on our second hour. First hour, we're talking about the UN betrayal of Israel. More specifically, Obama administration's betrayal of Israel. If you weren't there for the first hour, we are still having a little bit of streaming issues. We're going to work on that. I think we're going to try some experiments over the next few days to see how we can fix this little problem. But the first hour, we talked about the UN resolution that passed that was condemning Israel for settling, right? For putting settlements out. The United States broke a long-standing tradition. They abstained from a vote. They could have killed the vote. And that wasn't bad enough. And now we find out Israel is accusing the Obama administration of not only abstaining from the vote, but also for coordinating those who would pass that resolution. Now, this is a major accusation. This is a major, major accusation. And there will be consequences. There already are consequences that are starting to form. There are already calls to defund the UN. Considering the UN gets 22% of its money from the U.S. citizens, that's going to be huge if that goes through. Israel is taking time out, as it were, from other relations. They are cutting aid to countries that voted for the resolution. They are also blocking researchers from coming to their country to learn about farming techniques and medicine and other things like that from countries that are also trying to destroy Israel, which makes sense. Now, maybe you're out there and you're like, well, you just hate Obama. You just hate Obama. You have blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, there's more people coming forward. Other country leaders are coming forward. Now, there's been some suspicion for some time that the United States had a hand in the creation of ISIS. There's documentation of this. There is, proof out there that America had a very strong part in the creation of ISIS. It definitely had a part in arming and training some of the ISIS folks. Now, keeping in mind, ISIS is one of the most terrifying terrorist groups as of right now. Okay, they're doing things that even Al-Qaeda is going, wow, that's excessive. Well, Turkey, the Turkish president, has said, quote, it is very clear that the U.S.-led coalition is supporting terrorist groups in Syria. The Islamic State, ISIS, is among them. Now, this is huge, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely huge. Because these terrorist groups, right, these supposed rebel groups, these terrorist groups, have been accused of using chemical warfare against citizens, against people, against women and children. You've seen horrific pictures of these victims in the news. And we've covered this when we were doing the 5-day show on Raging Elephants Radio. We covered this. We talked about Aleppo. We talked about Syria. We talked about the fact that the United States has been linked to a terrorist group in Syria that has been linked to chemical weapons and has also been linked to the beheading of a child that they thought was a spy. This is who the Obama administration is getting in bed with. Now, those of you out there were like, look, if you're worried about Trump starting wars, if you're worried about Trump being a warmonger, you got to look at the body count left by Obama. Look at the drones, for example. Look how many children and women were killed by drones. I have to say, he probably holds the record of the most people killed, most civilians killed by drones than any other Peace Prize, Nobel Prize winner ever. But just look at the number of drone strikes that Obama has killed via drone strikes. Women, children, civilians. And then come to find out we might be backing a terrorist group in Syria that's responsible for chemical weapons, weapon. I mean, those are illegal. And beheading of children. Now, Turkish president is making an accusation. Now, why does Turkey matter? Why does the United States, why should we listen to Turkey? Well, because Turkey is a NATO country. Turkey is considered an ally. Now, Turkey's kind of gone a little bit out of bounds here, but Turkey is a NATO country. By our treaties, we are supposed to come to Turkey's aid if it's attacked. So that's why Turkey matters. So here's the news story. This is out of RT. That's Russia Today.
The United States and
I'm going to back this up a little bit for you.
The Turkish president has accused the United States and its allies of supporting terrorist groups in Syria.
In the beginning, the coalition said that they were going to fight ISIS. They were even accusing us of supporting ISIS. Now they have all disappeared. On the contrary, they are supporting terrorist YPG-PYD, including ISIS. It's very clear. We have confirmed evidence with pictures, photos and videos.
Well, the world is waiting to see the evidence that President Erdogan spoke of, saying that the United States had been supporting ISIL and other terrorists. Now, questions are being raised, and it remains to be seen what impact the comments from President Erdogan will have on the alliance between the United States and Turkey. Now, in the past, the United States has described Turkey as a key ally in the region.
The United States as a friend and partner of Turkey.
Turkey's been a strong ally for decades.
We believe Turkey is a genuine partner in destroying ISIL.
Now, Turkey has recently accused the United States of not doing enough to support it in the fight against ISIL. Recently, a statement was made on behalf of Turkish President Erdogan in which he described how operations in which the Turkish forces were going out to fight against terrorism were not being adequately supported by the United States. Now, the comments come in the context of a recently held meeting in which Russia, Iran and Turkey, the foreign ministers of these countries, met in Moscow to discuss the humanitarian catastrophe in Aleppo, evacuating civilians from the city, as well as forcing the militants out of the city. In the aftermath of these talks,
I'm going to pause it here because you heard U.S. leaders. You heard Obama say that Turkey is a close ally. Turkey is a close ally. Oh, they're a great ally. They're a great ally. Turkey is coming forward and saying, we have evidence. We have evidence that the United States has been supporting and backing ISIS. Now, let me ask those of you people out there who still support Obama. Now, of course, you're not paying attention. You've already turned me off after the first 5 minutes. But let's say for some reason, maybe you still support Obama and you're still watching the show. If evidence comes out that the Obama administration has given aid, military support to a terrorist organization, an organization that has claimed attacks on U.S. soil, the UK's soil, recently German soil. What's your opinion then? What should be done then if Turkey comes forward with evidence that the Obama administration, because it's going to be on his head, if the Obama administration gave aid to a terrorist organization, what'll be the repercussions? What should be the repercussions? Well, I can tell you right now, if it was Bush that had been accused of this, if it was George Bush who had been accused of this, we know where the liberals would stand. They would want George Bush's head on a silver platter. They would be demanding it. And they would be marching. They would be at his vacation home. You know, one of the great things about Trump becoming president is that all of a sudden, all these anti-war people will start to show up again. All of a sudden, once Trump is president, watch, we're going to have anti-war protests all the time. We're going to have anti-war movements. Code Pink will come back. All this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We need to end these endless wars. But at the end of the day, folks, if you're paying attention, this president has done more to undermine the stability of this country, and I would even say the globe, than anybody I can remember. Maybe going back to Carter, okay, who allowed, the whole Iran switch from the Shah to, the Ayatollahs. We're still paying the price for that one. But what would happen if we can get concrete evidence from a U.S. ally, from the president of a U.S. ally country that says, hey, guess what? Your president, your administration has been aiding and abetting terrorist groups. Well, we know what happens when the United States finds out other countries have been helping terrorist groups. We bomb those countries. When we find out a country has been officially supporting a terrorist organization, the United States goes in and bombs the crap out of them. The United States takes that as an order to kill. So what happens if the person who does it is in our own backyard? I think we're going to find out over the next few years, folks. I think we're seeing the beginning of a whole lot of folks coming forward with information. We'll find out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages. You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more? The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
This station and hundreds of other radio stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed. And because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Liberty Radio, Texas, broadcasting from Liberty County, Texas. Tune in for the best political talk show, music variety shows, and all the country and rock we can cram in between. Here's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.libertyradiotexas.com or download the app onto your smartphone.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, your Libertarian Professor. Do you have a charitable event or other nonprofit event coming up? Would you like to have it advertised for free? Then go to thelibertarianprofessor.online. Click on the tab for Submit a Public Service Announcement. Your event will be part of our community calendar heard on the Libertarian Professor's radio show. So once again, if you have that nonprofit event or charitable event, go to thelibertarianprofessor.online and click on that link. Submit a public service announcement.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product. This is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing, no one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and a choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
And welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get local here. We're going to start talking about some Houston news. Looking at, of course, Houston pension issues. This is from the Houston Business Journal. Mayor Turner calls for end of property tax revenue caps, more police. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, maybe you don't live in Texas, maybe you're from another state. Texas doesn't have any state income tax, okay? We don't have any state income tax, which is fantastic, by the way. We have property taxes instead. Now, to the outside person, it sounds like a great deal. It sounds like, hey, you have no state income tax. You guys must have money to spare. Well, here's the rub, okay? Houston, Texas property taxes are some of the highest around. Even when you compare other states like Florida that don't have state income taxes, our property taxes are so ridiculously high that we are unusual. I mean, we're beyond a standard deviation. I did an entire show just on property taxes alone. Our property taxes are really crazy. And the thing about Texas, and this is funny because people from outside of Texas think that Texas is very Texas. Well, Texas isn't as Texas as people think. You know, people think of Texas, they think of, conservative bastion, it's a conservative-run state. Well, no, it's actually not a conservative-run state. It's a rhino-run state. But it's supposed to be this conservative state. It's supposed to be this place of freedom, this place of independence, this place of, autonomy. You can be your own man. You can ride off into the sunset. You can, live off the land. No, you can't. Now, Texas, by the way, isn't the most socialist of nations. But when we took a look at, and this was a previous show, I think it was Cato that released the poll. When we took a look at the most free states, Texas wasn't even the top 10. When you compare property taxes, different laws, regulations, all this other stuff, we weren't even in the top 10 of the most free of the states. In fact, a couple of socialist states beat us a couple of times. So in Texas, you never actually own your property. Yeah. I don't know if you knew that. Especially now, for those of you who live in Texas, you're like, you either are aware of this and you're going, yeah, we know, or you're like, no, sure, you don't know what you're talking about. And if you're from out of Texas, you're going, wait, what do you mean you never own your property? Let me explain it to you. For those of you who live in Texas who think I'm lying, and for those of you out of state who don't know what I'm talking about. In Texas, because of the property tax system we have in Texas, you never actually own your property. No matter how long the property has been in your family, no matter if you've paid off that land or that house, you are still paying every single year property taxes on that land, on that house. Now, if you think you own your property, if you think you own your house, you're like, no, Scott, you're wrong. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to not pay your property taxes next year. Okay. Let's see. 2017 is coming up very quickly. Hallelujah. Only 4 more days. Please don't kill any more celebrities. Don't pay your property taxes next year. See what happens. You're going to get a nice little note in the mail. Maybe you might get a certified letter that says, hey, you owe us property taxes. And then the second year, don't pay your property taxes. If you make it to your third year, wow. But what's going to wind up happening is the state's going to take actions against you. They're going to take legal actions against you, and eventually they will take your house or your land or both, proving that you never actually own your home or your land here in Texas. Now, one would think that this is ridiculous. I mean, surely a place like Texas, which values independence, that values being Texan. You know, there's an old joke that says, never ask a man if he's from Texas. If he's from Texas, he'll tell you, and if he's not, you don't want to embarrass him. We have this pride of Texas. I mean, it's funny. You go anywhere else in the nation, if there's a Texan in the room, you're going to know there's a Texan in the room because we're proud of our state. You know, I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as fast as I could. I married a Texan. I got 2 Texan boys. I graduated my master's degree from Texas A&M. Whoop. When I die, hopefully not in 2016, when I die many, 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 many years from now, I want to be buried in Texas. Texas is in my blood. But we're not as Texas as people think we are. We don't have the freedoms that you think we have. And one of the big things that limits our freedom, that really is the antithesis to the spirit of Texas, is these property taxes. Now, I'm not saying, and I'm going to disagree with other hosts out there, friends of mine, that property taxes should be gotten away with. I can understand some need for property taxes. Some need. Now, I've already cheesed off some people by saying that. But there needs to be a limitation. There needs to be an end of property taxes. If you have paid off your land, if you have paid off your mortgage, you should be done paying property taxes. You shouldn't owe any more property taxes. You're done. That land is now in your family until you decide to sell it off, or your next of kin, or whatever. But we don't have that here. And so in Texas, you never, ever actually own your property. And that's a shame. That's a crying shame. That's horrible. And to make matters worse, it's not like when you buy your house that your property taxes are fixed. No. See, that you know what? That'd even be a nice compromise. When you buy your house, you're given a bill. Say, okay, your property taxes on this piece of property from now until whenever you sell this house will be this. This is a fixed property tax, right? Like a fixed mortgage. But you don't even get that. You don't even get a fixed property tax. What you get is every year some schmuck comes around, gives an estimate on your house. Okay, this house is worth this much money, which, by the way, that money goes to pay their office. That's not a conflict of interest or anything, right? They determine how much money you should pay them for your house. And every year it goes up and up and up and up and up. We're paying several $100s more on our house 10 years later each month. People are getting priced out of their homes here in Texas, not because they can't afford the mortgage, not because they can't afford the insurance, but because they can't afford the property taxes on that property. The government should never be the reason why you have to sell your home because you can't afford to pay a tax on that home. This country has gone to a revolution over less. But here it is. Here it is. And property taxes keep going up and up and up and up. And by the way, most of it, if you're curious, is at the local level. Most of your property taxes are because of your schools. Now, if you live in Texas, I want you to take a good close look at that superintendent in your school district and say, wait a minute, most of my property taxes go to schools. Why are you, superintendent, making all of this money, $300,000, $400,000 plus, and getting a living expense and getting a living stipend and really not having to pay property taxes and it's getting offset? Yeah. Think about that the next time a school starts talking about we need more money, we need more money. I'm not going to vote ever to give school districts more money until I see a superintendent take a cut in pay. $500,000 is too much for anybody working in a school district, but that's a whole separate show. That's a different show. I want to talk about Mayor Turner, Houston Mayor Turner. And again, this is from the Houston Business Journal. This was published May 5th, 2016. In his first State of the City, Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, Democrat, targeted the city's fiscal issues and called for an end to the controversial property tax revenue cap in 2017. In his 2,800-word speech, Turner identified the early steps the city of Houston has taken to curb the expected $160 million budget shortfall through staff reductions, pay freezes, and eliminations of empty positions. Now, I want to bring attention here to one important thing. The problems in Houston, the pension problems in Houston, the budget shortfalls in Houston. I don't remember the last time Houston has had a Republican mayor. The last one, whatever her name was, I totally just blanked on her name. Annise Parker. Annise Parker was more concerned with forcing private businesses to allow people of any gender to use any bathroom they wanted. That was her big thing. Not focusing on what a mayor should focus on, like budget, pensions, roads. No, her whole thing was about the HERO Act. Maybe you heard about it. It definitely was heard about in Texas. Maybe you heard about it nationally. Her whole thing was the HERO Act. That was her big contribution to Houston. Meanwhile, the pensions got worse. The city got further and further in debt. And before her, we had another Democrat. And before that Democrat, we had another Democrat. Houston has been run by Democrats over and over and over again, kind of like Detroit. And like Detroit, that was run by Democrats, here in Houston, we have a massive, massive, massive budget issue. We are so in the hole, ladies and gentlemen. But let's not blame the ideology, the philosophy, and the political party that seems to do this to every city they get to control. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go anywhere. Tis the season for giving, and this December, the Libertarian Professor Radio Show is giving away advertising for only $50 for the month. So get those Christmas presents, get those Hanukkah presents, and be sure to get advertising that won't break your holiday budget. Go to thelibertarianprofessor.online for more information.
Maintaining your home air conditioner is just as important as maintenance on your car. You don't know the big difference there's going to be until you've had the work done. I thought my system was working fine, but now it's better than ever. Galen Beatty did it for me, and he'll do it for you. Good servicing will not only keep your system performing well during the sweltering summers here in Houston, but it will save you money year after year. In my case, it cut my AC power consumption by 20%. Do what I did. Have Galen Beatty set up regular AC maintenance to cut your energy bill and prevent system failure at the worst time. And what's better than being comfortable and saving money? Whether you need a basic tune-up or it's time to put in a new super efficient system, you should call Beatty AC 281-222-9591. That's 281-222-9591 to schedule an AC system tune-up. Beatty AC and Heat. That's B-E-E-D-E ACandHeat.com. BeattyACandHeat.com.
You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more? The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor. Or, if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product. This is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing, no one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and the choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
Listen up, Texans. RER Nation has got to grow. We've got to have those RER app downloads. Android devices. Here's how to share the RER app. Get to your application manager through Settings, tap the RER app logo. There's your Google Play, right? Scroll down, see the share icon, hit it. Choose text or messenger. Pick a couple of Texas Patriots. Give a testimony in 160 characters. Send. iOS device folks, do the equivalent through the App Store. Let's get it viral. RER app.
Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. Trucking through our second hour. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. If you're not joining me this evening, thank you for watching the video on YouTube or listening to the replay on fine stations like RagingElephantsRadio.com, BlackMarketLiberty.com, or the newest one to the family, LibertyRadioTexas.com. In the first hour, we talked about the disaster that is the Obama administration and their newest scandal, which was, of course, putting a knife in the back of Israel, and Turkey formally accusing the United States, specifically the Obama administration, of aiding and abetting terrorist organization ISIS. Now we're talking about Mayor Sylvester Turner and how Mayor Sylvester Turner apparently wants to price grandmas, retirees, senior citizens out of their homes. Now, Scott, how could you say that? Well, Mayor Turner is calling for an end of property tax revenue caps. See, the debt in Houston has gotten so big that they can't pay it. They can't pay it. They made promises to pensions to our first responders, and they lied to them. Now, it's interesting. Before I went on break, I said, let's see whose fault this is. Let's see who's been running Houston. Now, if you look at all the major cities, for the most part, a lot of these major cities, actually almost to a T, every major city that has huge deficit problems, who have they been run by? Who have they been run by? What ideology, what political party has run these cities like Detroit into the ground? Who's been doing it? Well, I pulled up a little fact sheet. This is the Houston mayors. Sylvester Turner was elected in 2016, so he got this mess. Now, granted, Sylvester Turner ran saying this mess didn't exist. That was his whole campaign thing. Oh, what mess? I don't see a mess. Deficit? No, the pension's just fine. Well, now that he's in office, now we can tell the truth. So 2016, he didn't make the mess, but he inherited, okay? So we'll give to Sylvester Turner a little bit of a pass on this one. This wasn't his mess to begin with. We will, however, hold him accountable because he knew about this mess and he lied to the people to get elected. But before Mayor Sylvester Turner, Annise Parker was the mayor. Annise Parker was mayor of Houston, Democrat, by the way, from 2010 to 2016. Annise Parker, of course, her big focus as mayor was about so-called LGBT rights. Now, I'm not discounting LGBT. I've got friends who are in LGBT. I've got former students who are gay. What I'm angry about with Annise Parker is how Annise Parker tried to force small businesses to conform to her narrow-minded view of LGBT rights. And that was her big thing. No, first of all, you're the mayor. Your job is budget, city budget. Your job is disaster management. Your job is making sure the roads don't have potholes. This is your job description. That's your job description. Your job description is not Hero Act. So when East Parker was mayor for 6 years, 2010 all the way to 2016, and there's a deficit, there's a problem, there's money that wasn't put away for the pension. What was an East Parker doing with that money? Why are we in a fiscal hole? Well, before an East Parker Democrat, we had Bill White. Bill White, Democrat, from 2004 to 2010. Have you heard me say a Republican yet? Has there been a Republican mayor yet of Houston? No. Before Bill White, we had Lee Brown. Lee Brown's big thing was to make sure his face, I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Brown's big thing was to make sure his face, I mean literally his face, okay, was at the entrances and exits to the airports in Houston. So you could see who the mayor was of Houston. Hey, there's Lee Brown. There's his face. If I run into him at the airport, I'll know what Mayor Lee Brown looks like. That was Mayor Lee Brown's big contribution to Houston, and he was mayor of Houston from 1998 to 2004. So I got to ask one simple question. Who's responsible for this pension problem? Who's responsible for the situation that Houston finds itself in? It's been run by Democrats for a while now. Before Lee Brown, we had Bob Lanier. Bob Lanier was mayor of Houston from 1992 to 1998. Before Bob Lanier, from 1982 to 1992, Kathy Whitmire. All Democrats. So from 1982 through 2016, Houston has been run by Democrats. The last Republican mayor of Houston was Fred Hoffhines. I should know that. We have a place named after him. Hoffhines. Fred Hoffhines. And he was mayor from 1974 to 1977. Oh, wait, no, I take that back. He was not the last Republican mayor. The last Republican mayor was Jim McCon. I take that back, my mistake, looking at the wrong name. Jim McCon was the last Republican mayor that we had in Houston from 1978 to 1981. So the last time a Republican has run Houston was 1981. So as we start to take a look, as we take an honest look at the budget problems, as we start to take a look at this massive, massive budget shortfall, and as we take a look around cities that have collapsed, that have declared bankruptcy, Detroit, let's be very clear. Let's be very crystal clear about who has controlled those cities. It has been Democrat controlled. It is this socialist policy. It's the, what can I get? What can you give me? Which, by the way, was not always the Democrats' motto. JFK asked not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. He was a Democrat. What happened to this? You know, it used to be, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you all had this idea that you wanted to make America better for your kids than when you got it. You always wanted America to be a better place than when you showed up. And Democrats and Republicans believed in that vision. And again, going back to JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. This was a Democrat who said this. This was a Democrat sentiment. And now we've come to this point in time in our history as a country where it's no longer, how can I serve? How can I serve my country? How can I serve my state? How can I serve the people around me? It is now, give me free cheese. It's now, what benefits can you give me? What can I take out of the system? Give me. Let me drain the system. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the system has a finite number of resources. And we're getting to the point where the system can't handle gimme anymore, because those of us who are contributing to the system, those of us who are still following the dream of making the state and this nation better, you're outnumbering us. You're outnumbering those of us who are contributing to society. When there are more people who are interested in taking than there are giving, the system breaks down. And the problem is that our leaders are not exposing the virtue of serving. And by the way, this is not just the Democrats. This is not just the Democrats now. This contagion has moved to the Republican Party. In fact, it's got a great foothold in the Republican Party because one of Sylvester Turner's biggest proponents, one of Mayor Turner's biggest proponents, the man who's going to bring Mayor Turner into the Texas ledge in 2017 in front of the GOP, is the doofus I ran against, Republican Dan Huberty. He is going to go in front of the Texas ledge as a Republican and say, what can you give us? What can you give us? What can you give us? So this is no longer, by the way, if you're a Republican and you're sitting back on your laurels and going, yeah, you rip into those Democrats, I got news for you, Republicans. This contagion has spread. It has creeped over. Now, it might not be with the Republican people. In fact, I know a lot of people in the RPT, the Republican Party of Texas, and they're great people. They are conservative, and they are the ones who are contributing. But when the leadership, when the political elites start to take this attitude of what can I drain out of the system? How can you give me? How can I make a buck out of this at the expense of my constituents? How can I make a buck out of this at the expense of the people that I call neighbors, the people that I go back to my, locale with, my district, and hang around with at church? How can I screw them over the most? And that's where it starts. And then it trickles down throughout the parties. See, the people didn't fail JFK first. The people didn't turn on JFK's vision first. It was the leaders in the Democrat Party that betrayed the vision of JFK first. And it crept, and the disease spread. And now in the Republican Party, we're seeing the same thing. Dan Huberty, Republican, HD 127, is going to bring Mayor Sylvester Turner to the Texas ledge to try to get a bailout for problems that the Democrats have caused in the city since the 90s and the 80s. It's a contagion, and it's going to spread. And the system, ladies and gentlemen, it can't handle it anymore. We're at the point now where the system is being held together by duct tape and bubble gum. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're on social media? Well, so are we. Want more The Libertarian Professor Radio Show? Then visit us on Facebook at The Libertarian Professor, or if you're on Twitter, check us out at TL Professor. Once again, Facebook, The Libertarian Professor, and Twitter, TL Professor. See you online.
This station and hundreds of other radio stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed. And because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night.
Liberty Radio Texas, broadcasting from Liberty County, Texas. Tune in for the best political talk show, music variety shows, and all the country and rock we can cram in between. Here's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at www.libertyradiotexas.com or download the app onto your smartphone.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Hey, this is Scott Ford, your Libertarian Professor. Do you have a charitable event or other nonprofit event coming up? Would you like to have it advertised for free? Then go to thelibertarianprofessor.online. Click on the tab for Submit a Public Service Announcement. Your event will be part of our community calendar heard on the Libertarian Professors radio show. So once again, if you have that nonprofit event or charitable event, go to thelibertarianprofessor.online and click on that link. Submit a public service announcement.
Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers. More than an actual product. This is the name of the company that's going to lead you to a tobacco-free life. Apostle Claver here. ECV is where I went to break my cigar usage. Now I'm a happy vape fan. Vaping, healthy, more socially acceptable. The new cool thing. No one's better in Texas to intro you to the world and tech of vaping than electronic cigarette vaporizers. Bart, Chantal, Max, and Chris will teach you every feature of the dozens of vaping devices to choose from. ECV has a cornucopia of flavors, from fruity to cookies or even tobacco, each made from all natural products. No carcinogens, no smoky smell, and a choice of nicotine levels. Slowly drop your nic level down to 0 and break your tobacco habit with no jitters or stress while enjoying relaxing inhalation. You've been wanting to do it, so do it. Stop smoking and enjoy it. Electronic cigarette vaporizers, 2755 Gessner in Houston. Call 713-939-8273, 713-939-VAPE, or see the ad on RagingElephantRadio.com.
Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. So we're talking about Mayor Turner's disaster plan. And I don't mean a plan for disaster. I don't mean that, we're planning on some sort of natural disaster here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean his plan will be disaster for the people of Houston. In the previous section, we talked about the fact that there hasn't been a Republican mayor in Houston since 1981. 1981, ladies and gentlemen. That was before the first personal computer. That was before the internet. Heck, I think that was even before. Yes, I believe that was even before The Simpsons. We haven't had a Republican mayor in Houston since 1981. Since 1982, we have had Democrat-run Houston. We have Democrat mayor after mayor after mayor after mayor. Well, now we're in this massive hole. Big Jolly Politics, friend of the show, Don Hooper. City of Houston pension problem. There is nothing that strikes fear to our local public safety pension officials more than local control of the pension system. I have long since given up on the idea that the city of Houston is salvageable. For several years, I've written that the only way out is bankruptcy, and property owners and business leaders need to plan accordingly. I believe this is because no one can explain how we pay off the massive city debt. This year alone, the city added $350 million to the pension debt. I want you to all to keep in mind, folks, one of the main reasons why Detroit failed was unsecured pension debt. That was one of the big reasons why Detroit went belly up. The total pension debt is estimated between $5.6 billion and $12 billion. Please understand that if the city of Houston increases your taxes 100%, here's where you need to pay attention, folks. Even if Mayor Turner got his way, and he's going to go in front of the Texas legislation, which is full of Republican rhinos, but full of Republicans, and he's going to try to get approval. Even if Mayor Turner gets his way and increases property taxes 100%, it would take 10 to 20 years to pay off the accumulated debt. That's how bad, ladies and gentlemen, our Democrat-run city has gotten. That's how bad Democrat-controlled cities do. Even if they increase the taxes 100%, it would take 10 to 20 years to pay off the accumulated debt. Now, again, before we went on break, I even said this was not just a Democrat problem. No, sirree. What I have here on the screen, if you're watching this live on Facebook, I have the shot up here. This is from the office of State Representative Dan Huberty. Now, full disclosure, I ran against Dan Huberty for the election for 2017. I did remarkably well, I might add. I wound up getting more votes than any other primary challenger against Dan Huberty, and when you remove straight ticket voting, I got 30% of independent votes. Not bad for a first-time run. Yes, I will probably be running a second time. Details to come January. But I wanted to give you full disclosure because I got a real beef against Huberty. That's one of the reasons why I ran, because the guy is a fake Republican and a rhino, and he's willing to sell his constituents down the river. How do I know this? Well, looky here. The Office of State Representative Dan Huberty, District 127, contact Casey Crispin. She, by the way, is his campaign manager, his right-hand man or woman, as the case may be. This was for immediate release Wednesday, September 14th, 2016. Now remember, before we continue on here, Mayor Turner is asking to remove the property tax cap. Mayor Turner is asking the Texas legislation to give him power to raise property taxes to however much he wants to raise them. This is what he's asking. Mayor Turner, Democrat, is asking for the property tax cap to be removed. Don Huber, Big Jolly Politics, has pointed out it would take 10 to 20 years if property taxes were increased 100% to dig us out of this hole. So Mayor Turner, once again, wants to raise property taxes, wants to go in front of the Texas legislation to get permission to raise property taxes to whatever level he deems worthy. Republican Representative Dan Huberty, District 127, in this letter, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the letter. This is their letter. If you're listening to it on the air, either at RagingElePhantsRadio.com, BlackMarketLiberty.com, or LibertyRadioTexas.com, you can go to the channel for the Libertarian Professor and see it for yourself, or you can just take my word for it as I read it verbatim to you. For immediate release, Wednesday, September 14th, 2016, Representative Huberty supports Mayor Turner's pension plan for the city of Houston. Side note, remember, the pension plan means getting rid of the property tax cap, okay? Austin, Texas. Today, Mayor Sylvester Turner announced his pension plan for the city of Houston. I appreciate the efforts of Mayor Turner and his willingness to tackle the problems of police, fire, and municipal employees' pension. Today, the pensions are not actuarially sound. They are simply not sustainable. Mayor Turner has taken the first step, demonstrating his resolve to seek a long-term solution that delivers real reform to these pensions that will satisfy the police, fire, and municipal workers at a price the taxpayers can't afford. I'm going to pause right here and remind you once again, the plan that Dan Huberty, Republican, is saying is a good plan. Good plan. Good for you. Good for me. Good for the country. It's a good plan. It's very good. I like it. I like it a lot. This plan that Mayor Turner's presenting, again, gets rid of the property tax cap, okay? Gets rid of it. And back to the article. With Mayor Turner's leadership in Houston, I believe that the Texas legislator can craft a solution to the pension problem that honors commitments made to workers and delivers a path to long-term sustainability. I fully support Mayor Turner's effort to address this issue, and I look forward to working with him in the 85th legislative session. Let me repeat one more time for those of you guys in the back seats. The plan that Mayor Turner is talking about, okay? Mayor Turner, this article, okay, was released May 5th, 2016. This article about getting rid of the property tax cap was published May 5th, 2016. The letter of support from Dan Huberty, looky here, okay, looky here, Wednesday, September 14th, 2016, which means that Dan Huberty knows about Mayor Turner's proposal to remove property tax caps. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Republican out there and you're going, that's right, give the Democrats hell, I got news for you, folks. The problem is also in your backyard. The problem is also in your backyard. Now, at the end of the day, if the Texas legislature approves this plan, if they allow Mayor Turner to increase the property taxes as much as they want, keep in mind, Texas House, Texas Senate, Texas Governor, all Republicans, every single one of them. If this goes through, if property taxes go up, it is because the Republicans have allowed it to go up. And then at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we determine and we discover something that many of us already know, which is that there is no difference between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. And for those of you who think there are, you are being sadly misled. You are being misled. You are being conned. Because if this goes through with a Republican-controlled state, like I said, Texas isn't as Texas as people think. If it goes through in a Republican-controlled state, that tells you everything you need to know about the two-party system. That it's broke and it's corrupt as hell. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me this evening. Don't forget you can join me every Tuesday and Thursday evening from 7 and 9 for those of you who like to hang out a little bit late. You can also catch the replay during the day for those of you who don't like to stay up a little late at RagingElePhantsRadio.com, BlackMarketLiberty.com, and of course the newest one to the family, LibertyRadioTexas.com, reaching people all across Texas and all across the world. Until later, thank you for joining me, and class dismissed. Bye-bye for now.